What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another episode of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, respect, and integrity. Before I get started, I just want to wish everyone a happy Easter Sunday. I'm in the 804. It's kind of raining today, and as I look outside right now, it looks like the sun is trying to come out. So, with all that being said, whatever you guys are doing today, I hope you all enjoying yourself. If you're out with family, cool. If you're working like I did today, that's cool. If you're just deciding to take this day and relax at home and chill, that's cool too. So before I get to today's topic, I just want to start off by saying that today's video is not going to be a long one, but I do hope that, well, I don't want to say I hope this goes viral, but I hope it reaches a lot of people because I do have a few important things that I want to touch on today in reference to that topic. So before I get to that, I just want to talk briefly about this Good Times reboot that's set to hit Netflix in about a good week or two. Um, wow. What more can I say about it? I'm not happy about it, but then again, personally, I'm sick of reboots. I'm sick of biopics. I'm sick of all of that. And it just goes to show that there's a supreme lack of creativity that's in the entertainment industry right now, and we can talk about that on the hip hop front, definitely the R&B front. We can talk about that with movies, TV shows, you name it. It's just there's been a supreme lack of creativity across the board, and I just want to ask, was anybody in the black community clamoring for a Good Times reboot? I just want to start by asking that because I love the show. It's a classic. It came out at a time when, 70s sitcoms, specifically black sitcoms, were real popular. Good Times is a classic sitcom. The Jeffersons, one of my favorites. That's a classic. Sanford and Son, another one of my favorites. That's a classic sitcom. What's Happening? That's classic as well. So when I saw the trailer of this Good Times reboot, I just shook my head and did a face palm, and it just puts on display the worst stereotypes when it comes to African Americans. And I hope that the severe backlash that it's getting, I hope it leads to a severe boycott, or should I say an equally severe boycott? Because I mean, when you look at it, it's detached from the from what Good Times stood for. It's in complete contradiction to what the show was about, and it's just I just couldn't believe it. And then I was looking at um, some reactions from the content creators talking about it, and they basically confirmed it. I mean, it was needless and all of that. So, I mean, come on now. I mean, we're in 2024, and again, not trying to downplay what Good Times meant back in the day, because I mean, it meant a lot. And for those who are listening to this, if you're not familiar with the show Good Times, I encourage you to look it up, and even from there, take a look at, I would say, the first three seasons. Things changed when John Amos left the show and his character was killed off. But the first three seasons are classic material. And seasons 4, 5, and 6 has some good moments here and there. But if you want the true essence of that show, you definitely got to go with the first three seasons. And my personal pick for the best season was the second season. But I don't want to go off too much on a tangent because I don't want to lose focus on what this video is going to be about. But like I said, I hope that it gets canceled, you know, because it shouldn't go far. And at this point in history, if if it gets a large viewership and it continues, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But even by looking at that trailer, it's something I'm not interested in, and it just confirms that I'm literally sick of reboots. I mean, can we get a creative idea for once at this point? You know, um, even and I know that there's a lot of things that can be said about reboots. I've heard a lot about the Bel Air series that's on Hulu, I believe, either Hulu or Peacock. But even then, I'm not interested in that because I was never interested in a reboot of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, even if Will Smith is behind it, or has something to do with it, or if Tatiana Ali has a presence on it. I'm still not interested, because we don't need to reboot classic things from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. We just don't. I guarantee you, years down the road, are we going to see any of these reality TV shows rebooted? Well, quite frankly, we might. But I think you all get my point. So, like I said, this Good Times reboot, I'm not happy about it. I hope it dies a quick death. And like I said in one of my comments today, on paper, it looks like a good idea to some, but in actual execution, it's going to fail. And I hope it does. Moving on. So, today's topic I want to talk about is reparations. And this is another politically charged topic. And and I guess you can chalk this up to something that I would talk about during my time in office when my political career gets started. So, with that being said, in a word, do I support reparations for my people? Yes. And even if other races listen to this, I really want to direct this to my people. So, like I said, do I support reparations? Yes. There's no question about it. When you look at what we've endured for centuries, you know, decades, all things related. We deserve that. We deserve to be compensated for that. And again, if you're not familiar with what reparations are and why most of us are in favor of it, I encourage you, look it up, do your own research, and then form your own conclusions about it. But like I said, I'm in favor of it. We deserve to be compensated for all of that. However, this may or may not be controversial. I'm in favor of it, but with conditions. And that's what I want to talk about today. So there's four things I want to highlight in terms of reparations and, explain why I think they should come with conditions. Okay. Because you don't want to, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical or whatever, and I'm not trying to downplay anything, but you don't want to dish out what could be akin to trillions of dollars, I want to say, maybe even billions, somewhere between the billions and the trillions. You don't want to just dish out such large amounts of money and not have a true purpose for it. You know what I mean? It's not like a stimulus check, and it shouldn't be treated as such. So I say that to say that, in order for it to be effective in its usage and its distribution, it should be a purpose behind it. And that's why I say it should be conditioned. And that brings me to my first point. So the first point that I want to highlight in reference to reparations is financial literacy. Now, in our community, we could use a lot of financial literacy, what to do with your money, how to be responsible, how to make wise decisions, how to do important things in terms of being financially responsible, financially literate, in terms of how you manage money and what you do with it. We could use that. And it goes beyond, classes and things like that. We really could use a wide range of financial literacy, and I'm talking from the top, from the bottom up and the top down, whatever the case may be, from kids to teenagers to young adults to adulthood. And as you proceed, financial literacy will benefit a lot of us. And if we have that, then we wouldn't have some of the problems that we have today, you know. And that brings me to the next part. The next part I feel is it should be conditioned regarding housing. When it comes to housing, we definitely want to be in a position where we can afford housing. We don't have to worry about renting for long periods of time, and we definitely want to have our own. We want to own our own things and um, make the necessary adjustments and things like that. So definitely housing is a big one. Another big condition I think it should be conditioned towards that. Building things from the ground up, having our own houses, just the way we want. So I feel as though it'll be beneficial regarding the housing aspect as well. Um, yeah, so I think that would be good. Number three, education. Education a big part, an essential part, a vital part. We should take a good portion of that and apply it to education. From elementary school to middle school to high school, even in terms of further education with college. And speaking from someone with a bachelor's degree, and I'm also going to be pursuing my master's degree this year as well. Resuming the academic part of my journey, we could always use a boost and a good stepping stone, so to speak, towards education. Make not just highlighting the importance of education, but treating it as though it's very important to our community as opposed to bypassing it and making it seem like, well, I can do this without a college degree. I mean, if you're talented and you can make it without a college degree, that's fine, but you don't want to downplay that as well. You don't want to make it seem like it's less essential than anything else, And of course, backing up a bit, you want to stress the importance of getting your high school diploma and things like that, So again, education, that aspect, it would be important too, to put some resources there. And last but not least, generational wealth. Now, this is another vital one. Then again, financial literacy, education, housing, all of those are vital. But when it comes to generational wealth, that should be another essential part, a vital part of what the reparations should go towards. Generational wealth for those that have one child or two or more. I would be in favor of putting whatever funds, let's just say, okay, let me back up. Let's just say, for example, a family of three, or in this case, let me back it up. I'm sorry about that. Let me back it up. Let's say you have a single mother, okay, who has three kids, whether they're by three different men or by two different men or by the same man, it doesn't matter. Let's say this family gets a check for let's say $125,000. Okay, what I would be in favor of is putting that $125,000 in an interest bearing trust, something akin to a 401k or a retirement plan or something like that, something where it's not only going to collect interest, but it's going to be there for the children when they get of age to access it. And also, what I would be in favor of is having the parent sign documentation to not touch this money until the kids get a certain age. I would probably say maybe 21, 18. We can have a discussion about that, but 21 sounds better. And I would be in favor of that, and also generational wealth, passing it on to your kids, making sure that when they finish school and whether they go to college or not, they have that. Now, then we can also have a discussion. Okay, so what would the kids do with the money once they get it? And that's where the financial literacy part comes in. That you want to get them hip to it at a certain age so that when they're entitled to this money, they already have it in their mind that, okay, this is what I want to put it towards, or this is what I should do with the money. And to be clear, this is not about trying to tell a certain group of people how to spend their money. It's not about that. It's about being responsible. You know, this money, and I'm going to be clear, even if this may give me some backlash, in this case, I'm going to stand on business here. Reparations should not be used for BBLs. It should not be used for a large amount of tennis shoes. It should not be used for plastic surgery. It should not be used for cell phones. It should not be used for games or anything that sees us throwing away money, for the lack of a better way to explain it. Now, cell phones can be excused, but one would think that at a point like this, you would already be set in terms of having a cell phone, okay? But it shouldn't be used for extracurricular activities, because I'm gonna tell you something, and I think I want to end with this before I make another point. If/when we get reparations somewhere down the line, and like I said, I will be in favor of it. When I'm in the House of Representatives, if we finally have some type of legislation that can come up, I would vote for it, and I would recommend my colleagues do so as well as those in the Senate. I would be for that, you know. But my point is that if/when we're entitled to such reparations in the form of cash payouts or whatever, and if we take that money and be reckless and irresponsible with it, I guarantee you we're not going to see anything on this level ever again. The government will look at this and probably be like, okay, see, this is why we can't give them anything, because look at what they're doing with it. You have to look at it from that lens as well, and look at it from a long-term perspective, because yeah, you can give, for another example, you can give a married family, a husband, a wife with just two kids, and they could be entitled to, let's see, $200,000, right? And let's say all of their money is blown on things that are not helpful. You know, legislators are going to look at this and be like, okay, the next time that this community, quote unquote, is in need of something, we're going to be real hesitant to give them to it, because look at what happened when we gave them the reparations, and this is how they choose to utilize the money. So just think about that for a second. You know, yes, as adults, yeah, we're free to do what we want with our funds, but at the same time, when it comes to reparations, something that we've been talking about for decades now, we want to, you know, and it's not trying to please other people, but we basically want to show everyone that we can be responsible with such funds. And that's my point right there. You know, so like I said, those 4 points: financial literacy, housing, education, and generational wealth. And generational wealth in terms of, like I said, putting that money in an interest bearing trust where it cannot be touched for anything. It cannot be touched. Have all of those on the table, and we got ourselves reparations, and it'll benefit us in the long. It will benefit us in the long term, definitely. And the whole point of this is not having others, quote unquote, others saying anything akin to, we shouldn't have gave them this, or you see what happens when they get this amount of money, this is how they act, you know, anything like that. So let me know what you think about the reparations, because I feel as though this will be a good starting point, and I really do hope this gets to the right people, because I feel as though this would be a good way to not only start a discussion, but you know, it's worth taking another look at. Yes, reparations, but with conditions. You know, and I think that'll be beneficial to the community as a whole. I think we will all benefit from it, and it'll make things 10 times better than what it is now. So overall, let me know what you think. You know, do you agree with the 4 points that I made regarding generational wealth, housing, education, and financial literacy? Do you think that the reparations would be better without such conditions? You know, let me know what you think. I'll be curious to know where you all stand on that, especially to those who are in favor of reparations. Let me know what you think. So, on that note, on this Easter Sunday, I hope everyone continues to have a good rest of the day heading into April 2024. Again, please like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. As my schedule permits, I have more content coming. I'm going to do the second part of the Trump effect. Much props to those who looked at the video, who looked at the 2 videos already. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do in terms of pro wrestling from a Monday Night War standpoint. I'm also trying to determine whether my Ultimate Nas project is going to be the first hip hop related thing I present on the blog, or should I say on the channel, or if I'm going to go a different route. But either way, I thank you all for listening. And again, the power of the mind is valuable. Take care.